You know that sound, that riff that feels ancient and heavy all at the same time. You know, the one that makes you think of desert sands, epic battles, or just something kind of sinister. Well, today we're going to crack open the manual on the scale that pretty much built modern metal.
Have you ever wondered why some riffs just sound evil or Egyptian, even before you crank up the gain? It's not some complicated studio trick. It's not a pedal that costs half your rent. It's music theory, but not the boring kind you fell asleep to in class. Nope. This is theory used as a weapon, and it all boils down to one single, simple note change.
So, let me introduce you to the secret, the Phrygian Dominant scale. Now, don't let that fancy name scare you off. Just think of it as a special kind of minor scale, one that's just loaded with this dark, tense, and super exotic character that has been the backbone of metal for decades. Let's dive in and see how this thing actually works. Now, here's the best part and why this is so cool. If you already know your basic minor scale, or even the Phrygian scale, you are literally 90% of the way there. We're just going to make one simple little twist to turn something you already know into something that sounds absolutely menacing. Okay, so here's the secret. It's so easy. Take your standard Phrygian scale. You know, the one that already has that dark kind of Spanish vibe because of the flat second note. Right. Now, find its third note, the minor third, and just raise it by 1/2 step. That's it. You make it a major third. That one simple change is everything. You've just flipped the switch from Phrygian to Phrygian Dominant. So this formula you see here really tells the whole story. You've got your root, a flat second, a major third, and then the rest. But the magic, the real secret sauce, happens right at the start. It's that collision between the dark, brooding flat second and that brighter-sounding major third. That clash is the entire source of this scale's power. So why does that one little change create so much drama, right? Why does it sound so aggressive? Well, the answer is in the massive gap it creates between those first few notes. This is where all that awesome tension comes from. And this brings us to what's called the augmented second. It's this super wide 3-semitone jump between that flat second and the new major third. Your ear just doesn't expect such a huge leap so early in a scale, and that surprise creates this massive, exotic-sounding tension. It's the sound of ancient kings and modern mosh pits, all in one little interval. This quote right here just nails the scale's personality. That major third sounds perfect with the root note, right? It totally anchors the sound. But it clashes with almost everything else in the scale. The flat second, the flat sixth, the flat seventh. It's a note that's both perfectly at home and completely out of place at the same exact time. And that creates this constant, powerful tension. And it's that tension that gives us all these incredible sonic flavors. I mean, you hear it described as dark, tense, exotic, haunting. It's what gives riffs that unmistakable Middle Eastern or Spanish flamenco vibe that you hear in so much metal. It's basically a passport to a whole world of heavy, exotic sound. Okay, theory's cool, but let's actually make some noise. I'm going to show you a dead simple trick to immediately use this scale and get a massive sounding riff out of it. We're talking practical, instant gratification here.
And I'm not even kidding. This is the simplest way to tap into that heavy, epic sound. We're going to use something called a drone note to give our scale a really powerful foundation.
All right, here it is, the drone trick. It's 3 simple steps. First, just chug on your open low E string. Just let it ring out, creating that drone. Second, while that E is ringing, just play the notes of the E Phrygian Dominant scale on the string right above it, the A string. And third, well, there is no third. You're already doing it. It's instant evil. That droning root note adds all the body and weight you could ever need.
So if you're listening to this and thinking, hey, that sounds really familiar, well, you're absolutely right. This isn't some obscure, dusty theory concept. It is the secret weapon of some of the biggest legends in metal. You've been hearing this scale your entire life. I mean, the list of artists who built their sound on Phrygian Dominant is basically a who's who of metal royalty. We're talking pioneers like Iron Maiden and the Scorpions, thrash gods like Metallica, prog masters like Dream Theater, and of course, shred virtuosos like Yngwie Malmsteen and Jeff Loomis. If you want the quintessential example, the poster child for this scale, look no further than Iron Maiden's Power Slave. The main riff is pure Phrygian Dominant. It's the entire reason that song feels so epic, so ancient, and so unmistakably Egyptian. It is the sound of that song.
Or how about Metallica's Wherever I May Roam? You know that exotic, wandering feel of the intro and the solo? Yep, That's the sound of Phrygian Dominant at work, giving the whole track its massive, worldly atmosphere.
And, of course, you cannot talk about this sound without mentioning the neoclassical shredders of the 80s. I mean, players like Yngwie Malmsteen took Phrygian Dominant and just pushed it to its absolute limit, blending that pure classical fury with raw metal aggression.
So, remember, the big takeaway is this. Theory isn't about boring rules that you have to follow. It's about understanding why something sounds the way it does. It's a toolkit for creating the exact sound that's in your head. And in this case, theory doesn't have to be boring. It just has to sound mean. The Phrygian Dominant scale is your key. It unlocks that dark, exotic, and powerful sound that defines so much of modern metal. So the real question is, what are you going to build with it? Have you used the scale in your own riffs? Show me. Drop a link to your favorite evil riff, yours or someone else's, down in the comments. Now go make something heavy.